Now, when you're talking about the rapture, it's a form of rescue and deliverance that the Most High is using. It's a situation of salvation. People are being saved. People are being rescued. You see, it being gathered together and rescued from a major judgment that's going on. It's not just people going in the sky um to do what. I don't know what they plan on doing, but this is a rescue mission. They're being delivered. Now, when it's talking about they're gonna meet the Son of God in the sky and be with him, he's rescuing them. What's that? 1 Thessalonians 4:16. They're gonna hear his voice, and he's gonna rescue them. Now, this whole thing has a prophetic uh foretelling meaning. This is fulfillment of prophecy. This is not a new concept that the Son of God, he's just gonna come and deliver random people. The prophecy has specifics to it. It has order to it. Now let's get to set a foundation. Let's get First Corinthians. I'm thinking First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. It says, "Let all things be done decently and in order." See, the prophecies is done decently and in order. And the world of Christianity and these so-called religions, which are philosophies, they don't have order. They don't go by any order. They go by the feelings of certain individuals. But we're going to read the prophecies and we're going to see who was going to be delivered and why was they going to be delivered. Because why says a lot. Why was they going to be raptured? See, now the first situation is King David. King David was a major writer in the book of Psalms, and he was a major figure in the Bible, major character. And when you look at main ideas, it always deals with characters. The characters make up the main idea of the story or the book or whatever you're reading. So Psalms chapter 2, verse 2. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" What is the heathens imagining? If that's even a word. What is they thinking that's going to happen? verse 2, it say the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, verse 3, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Okay, so who is this anointed? Who is this anointed that these kings of the earth is setting themselves against? Psalms 83. Starting at verse 2, it say, for look, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against your people. See, his people is the anointed. Not Yahushua, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Not just one person. His people. It says, and consulted against his hidden ones. See, he had to hide his people. He hid his people for a reason. His people was hidden because he had the kings of the earth taking crafty counsel. The kings of the earth was his enemies. And there was his people's enemies. They was coming against them. Okay, Psalms 83 and 4, it say, and they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. So it's an enemy to his nation, to him and his nation. That's who the enemy was for. Or that's who the anointed was. It was a nation. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So they wanted to destroy the remembrance of the nation of Israel. You see, they want to get rid of the nation of Israel. Verse 5 of Psalms 83. For they have consorted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. See, that's the whole situation. The Lord has a nation, and the kings of the earth have came together to try to get rid of them. And this is why Malachi, let's go to Malachi. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6 says what it says, because the kings of the earth wanted to get rid of the children of Jacob. Malachi 3 and 6, for I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. See, they was trying to consume the sons of Jacob. They was trying to consume the Israelites, that their name would be no more in remembrance. That's what the controversy was all about. The other nations was against God and his nation. Now let's get Lamentation, because these other nations were surprised that the people even crossed the border. Crossed the border of the Israelites. It is, let's see here. Okay, Lamentations 4 and 12. It said the Lord has accomplished, Salakia, 4 and 12 of Lamentations. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. Let me read that again. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. You see, they would have been flabbergasted. They would have been amazed, and they just couldn't believe that this is a thing that was possible, because this is what they imagined. This was a part of their imagination, that they really can go and subdue the children of Israel and try to destroy them. They wouldn't believe it. Now, when we go to Luke, it'll explain everything, and especially why the rapture is needed and what the rapture is all about. The rapture is not about the nations. Now, first, starting at Luke chapter 1, starting at verse 8, it says, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he has visited and redeemed his people." 69, "And has raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David." A horn of salvation for us. See, the God of Israel redeemed his people. See, us is talking about his people. Verse 70, it says, "As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets." In the prophecies, it's talking about the children of Israel being fought against by the nations. The nations was coming against the children of Israel when they tried to rebuild the temple in the captivity of, or the kingdom of the Persians. All the nations came and tried to stop them from building the temple, because they knew what was going to happen once they built the temple. The kings of the earth was coming against the Israelites. Luke chapter 1 verse 70, "And as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began." See, since the world began, it was God having a priesthood, leaders that represented him, and the people was coming against them. Was that Ezekiel chapter 31? It say, "The trees of the garden envied the priesthood," the big tree that was leading the nations. The other trees envied that nation. And it's the same thing today. Verse 71 of Luke chapter 1, it say that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. See, the kings of the earth, they hate the children of Israel because God chose them. And they envy the children of Israel. They envy the chosen seed. And so when you go into First Thessalonians and you go into chapter 1 Corinthians chapter 15, it's not talking about these other nations. It's talking about the children of Israel, the prophecy that they will be changed. Now, let me get the verse. It's 1 Corinthians 15, verse 51. It say, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed." You see, the Israelites is going to be changed. Verse 54 of 1 Corinthians First Corinthians 15, verse 54. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and the mortal shall have put on immortality, then that's when the change is going to happen. But what is the change happening for? Then shall be brought to pass, see, that go prophecy, that saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. See, death represents these nations. Let's get that. And Habakkuk. Let me go to Habakkuk. Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. It says, ye also, because ye transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. Talking about a man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death. See, that's what it says. Death would be swallowed up, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heap unto him all people. See, this is talking about the so-called white man that rules the world, who is the nation of Edom. Habakkuk was talking about Edom. God came to Teman. Teman is the son and one of the head tribes of the Edomites. They're the wisest tribe of the Edomites. The Germans. They have all the wisdom coming out of Germany. The best cars, starting the space travel, or going up into the sky. Ain't too much of a space travel, but they gather unto them all people. This nation, that's the nation of Edom, and so they are coming together with one consent with the other nation against the children of Israel, and they put the children of Israel in captivity, and they are the enemies and the adversary of Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai and the nation of Israel that they put into captivity. And so they represent death. Death is swallowed up in victory, meaning that they're not going to be able to defeat the Israelites once he changed them into immortal beings, not human beings, but once he changed them into immortality, see, that's when death is going to be swallowed up. They're going to be undefeatable. Let's get that in Zechariah 12. All right, let's get right to it. Okay, now 12 and let's see here. I want to get right to the point. 7, 8, 9. All three of them, very important. It say the Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first. See, that's the head tribe, the so-called blacks, African Americans in the heart of America. Mainly on the east coast of America, in the south. It says that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. See, that's where this truth is coming out of Judah. Verse 8 it says, in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. And the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. He's going to give them immortality like an angel. So that's how he's going to defend them. He's going to defend them by giving them immortality. Verse 9, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Come against the people, the sons of Jacob, the children of Israel. This is why the rapture is going to happen, and he's going to rapture them up to give them spiritual bodies. Now let's go to Revelation. I'll end it on that. Okay. He said, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them. See, that's when they gonna get that those spiritual bodies. And they should stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. See, they gonna scare the heck out of people. See, the enemy is gonna see them turn into these spiritual bodies. They're not gonna be taken up in the heaven, and nobody gonna know what happened to them. No, the enemy gonna know the children of Israel done turned into immortals. Verse 12, it say, and they that heard a voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. These are the Gentiles. The Gentiles is going to beheld the children of Israel going into the heaven. This tell you that this is not talking about the Gentiles. It say, but the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentile. See, the Gentiles is in a court that's being left out. They're not going to be a part of no kind of rapture. They're going to be a part of the court that is without and going to be left out. See, that's going to be given to the Gentiles. They are going to be left out. But the holy city, who they put into captivity, they're going to be the ones that's going to be raptured. That holy city is the children of Israel. See, let me get that real quick. I'll close out. That holy city is the children of Israel. Let's see here. Look at him. It say, the sons also of, verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. They're going to be that holy city. They're going to be that city that people going to bow down because they was afflicted. They was in slavery. They was getting their backs beat in. They was living a life of poverty. When that is like it's better to be dead than living a life of poverty. That's why they say that dead bodies would line the streets of the great city, America. The whole thing is about the slavery of these Israelites, and they will be having a glorious resurrection, meaning brought back to who they was in the time of King David and in the time of Adam. See, they're going to be brought back to that status of even having an immortal life and being a king and a priest to the other nation. But I'm going to leave it there. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem and Kakadash. Double honors to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, descendants of slaves scattered around the globe. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.